Avenue Radio.world.
Do you want to reach out to the Vietnamese community in Seattle? Just advertise in Người Việt Tây Bắc, that is Northwest Vietnamese News, the longest running Vietnamese language newspaper in our region. Go to nvnorthwest.com.
Hello, listener. What's important to you about what's going on in your community? Are you interested? Are you concerned? In any case, I invite you to tune into my show, Seattle Here and Now, on Rainier Avenue Radio.org. Why? I will be covering a wide range of topics important to you and impacting the community. Each show will have a special guest or guests to share with you information on a variety of subjects that are happening here and now in Seattle. I promise I will work hard to make my show informative, interesting, and entertaining. Be sure to listen to Seattle Here and Now on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Atlantic Street Center has been serving the children, youth, and families of the county area since 1910. We partner with families and communities to raise healthy, successful children and youth with services including counseling, early learning, youth development, domestic violence, and education support for school-aged children. Committed to serving the African American community, Atlantic Street Center provides services and support for all marginalized people. Learn more at atlanticstreetcenter.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rainier Avenue Radio.world, the station that cares about our community.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh my God, I could not possibly be more excited. So beautiful people, welcome to another powerful episode of Better Together and Living Powerfully. I am your host, Dr. Traci Harrell, and I could not possibly be more excited than to really focus today on an extra special topic honoring May, Mental Health Awareness Month. So I'm blending this important theme with the transformational work that I've been doing throughout the last 2 years, pretty laser focused. I've been doing it my entire life, but I think the next book is coming out, which is focused on the Living Powerfully experience. And positive intelligence is like layer 1 or level 1 of 7 levels of living powerfully. So it's kind of a foundational element, but it can change everything. So when you think about mental health, what we're going to talk about today is a whole series of elements, really giving you an opportunity to ask yourself some valuable questions and then to activate in a way that allows you and those around you to truly focus on the importance of mental health and then really do things that will change your life and again, change those around you. So I guess you could probably ask yourself question number 1, like, how is your mental fitness these days? Like, how are you doing? Like, not your physical strength, not your cardio, not your mental, but we're talking mental muscles, right? And if you're not sure what that means, that's what we're going to unpack today. So grab your journal, get comfy. If you're on a walk, go on a walk. But really, we're going to be talking about how to train your mind to serve you. It is exciting. So not to sabotage you, but how do you train your mind to serve you? So first, again, if this month, Mental Health Awareness Month, is not just about crisis intervention, it's not like, something's happening in your life and, jumping in and figuring out what to do in case of emergency. No, that's not, it's part of it. Obviously, in case of emergency, we're going to provide you with some resources, right? But this is really about how do you maintain the life of your dreams, right? It is about prevention and it's about mental fitness. So if you think of it this way, mental fitness is your brain. It's like going to the gym for your body, but it's mental fitness for your brain, right? It's our ability to handle all of life's challenges, the day-to-day shenanigans that can build up, right? If we're not doing the work, right? And those major things that show up. So how do you handle those things in a positive way as opposed to a negative way? Meaning, how do you allow life for you, for me, and for those around you, how do you deal with stress and allow circumstances to uplift you and move you toward your goal and not succumb to the stress, to anxiety, burnout, self-doubt, right? All the things, stress, mental health, it includes just daily stress. And stress can have physical manifestations as well as, obviously, we know it can minimize your performance at work, your performance as a mother, as a, in a relationship, your performance at school, right? Stress and anxiety, they're definitely self-doubt, like those things that we do to ourselves. But really, it is the experiences that we have. How do we respond? So I'm excited that we get to bring in, again, this topic, which, again, it's level 1 of 7 levels of living powerfully. So when I say it's foundational, it's transformational. It's foundational in the sense that it's groundbreaking, right? It's science-backed, science-based, right? Backed by science. We've talked about this before, right? It's Shazad Shamin wrote a book called Positive Intelligence, and it's the positive intelligence quotient. So you can actually measure how equipped you are to handle life's challenges. You can actually measure your ability to truly step into your full potential. I know that sounds maybe a little esoteric, right? This concept of stepping into my full potential. What does that mean? You already know. Come on. We all have these gifts. We have gifts inside of us. And then oftentimes there are things, we call it life keeps lifing. Well, when life is lifing, if you're doing the basics, if you're willing to build a foundation, there's a whole series of things that you can do to really step up and transform. So, and when life is lifing, right? That's what happens, right? When challenges show up, what do we get to do differently? So again, I mentioned this concept of PQ, or positive intelligence quotient. That's what we call PQ. So when I talk about a PQ rep or a PQ, it measures the strength of your positive mental muscles versus your negative ones. It measures your ability, again, to step into your full potential, right? To tap into the powers within. Like how much of the time is your brain serving you versus sabotaging you? So it's all those things, it's all those elements that allow you really to not only shift your brain activity away from the saboteurs or those negative thoughts, the stress, the anxiety, like that's from us. People can't put it on you. I know we think they can, but in reality, there's some people that you think bring stress into your life. Really, they're just bringing themselves in and you're responding. Your saboteurs are being triggered by their saboteurs. And then there's a whole energy. And oftentimes they're habits or things that we just do because we're kind of, we're defaulting. Like our saboteurs are those voices that have been with us since childhood oftentimes. So I know it sounds, and I do have to admit, it sounds a little almost too easy. I would be lying if I said it's easy. It is simple. It is simple. It is less complex than we make it out to be. And sometimes it's so simple. People are like, oh, I've been doing that. Well, then wonderful. You can do it, probably some of it. But if you're not showing up in your fullest potential, if people don't see you and say, that is the calmest, coolest fella or sister that I have ever been around, then there's an opportunity, right? Meaning if you're not operating in flow, I just want to make sure my screen is doing what it's supposed to do. But if you're not operating in flow, then there's a challenge, right? That's where the challenge is. So when I put out this, we're going to talk about this the entire month of May. I'm going to be very focused on living powerfully for mental health, right? May is mental health awareness month. Then we're going to not just talk about coping. We're going to be focused on thriving, right? We're going to be about reclaiming your joy, your peace, your power, living powerfully. Are you with me? I'm sorry. I get excited. I do get excited about this stuff. So living powerfully is about you reclaiming your peace. People talk about being in flow. Right? Being in flow is this concept of, not struggling, not stressing, not, feeling like you're having to close down Thank you. Yeah, feeling like like you have to shut down, the best parts of you, but instead tap into the best parts of you. Again, this is going to be about thriving. It's going to be about reclaiming your joy, your peace, your power. And so we're bringing all of this, the Living Powerfully experience with positive intelligence. We're going to give you a little flip side of that, right? So just stay with me. Again, you can DM me on social media. We're going to talk about this the entire month. I would love to coach some people. So, free. I know. To give you a little taste of what coaching feels like and looks like, but this is information. So again, you can talk about information versus activation and again, feeling stressed and anxious and overwhelmed and burned out. A lot of people say that's just that's life. It's not. That's somebody else's life. It doesn't have to be yours. Let me slow down because I do get excited and talk a little fast. Some people believe that feeling stressed and anxious and overwhelmed and overdoing and feeling burned out, like some people believe that is life, right? I got so much going on, that's just how it is. I got to be humping all the time. And the truth is, it's not true. It's just what we're used to. It's like our saboteurs are the voices in our head. And I think I shared with you multiple times. I'll share it again today. If you go to positiveintelligence.com, there's a saboteur assessment. You can go to my website as well. I'm pretty sure I have it there. It's allbiggerthanme.com. There's all kind of free resources out there for you. And again, I'm here. This is what I was put on this earth to do, is to help people to thrive, right? To think about, how do I improve my well-being, my relationships, my life, right? And so again, you're not alone if you think that feeling stressed and anxious and overwhelmed, that's life, right? But you don't have to stay stuck. Just because you're not alone, that's because most people are out, believing that life is, the truth hurts, life is life keeps lifing, life is lifing. And for me, guess what that means? That means miracles show up on a regular basis. It means that the people that I need to connect with are brought into my life. Life keeps lifing. These are good things. It's not like life keeps lifing and there's burnout and anxiety and shenanigans. That ain't life. That's not how it should be anyway, right? I have some things, I'm going backwards to fix some things, right? Like I've been dealing with a few little medical situations, and life is life. And I'm not saying things are going to happen. I'm saying how you respond to them is the difference. Let me just be clear. Life will do what life will do, right? How you respond to it, what you believe is going to come from it, what you believe is happening in the moment. That's the life, and that's the part of life. That's the living powerfully part. If you believe different, you can create different. Does that make sense? So this is mental health. Okay, so stay with me. So what you're going to experience throughout the month of May is all kind of stuff. The difference between mental health, even though we're saying mental health awareness versus mental fitness, it's an activity. It is an ongoing activity. So we're going to talk about that throughout this entire month. We're going to talk about it today as well. We're going to keep talking about those mental muscles. There's only 3. Not a whole lot that we're asking you to do, right? 3 muscles that will help you to transform how you show up in life, right? We talked about minimizing those saboteurs, increasing your sage superpowers. You might be like, what the heck is that? It's a different mentality, right? You talk about the growth mindset. You can talk about that concept, yes. But what does it mean in the moment for you based on your saboteurs? That's why this is so powerful. It's because we have these conceptual books, and I have read like 1,000 books. So I got them all up in here. So when I got to the stuff around positive intelligence, I was like, oh my God, this can help so many people because it's targeted to you. It's your experience. It's not about me. It's about you and your experience. And then how do we all come to a common operating system that allows us to show up differently, doing 3 things, right? Minimizing our saboteurs, those voices, increasing our superpowers, right? And then tapping into a whole new level of excellence and amazing, right? Amazement, right? Because you get to decide what getting unstuck looks like for you, right? The good thing about teams is when teams work together, that's a whole nother level of building trust and all of that. I'm doing a whole session on the teaming side of this, but first it really has to do with you. So when I work with teams, a lot of times they're like, okay, we thought we were going to be working together more. you got to get your little work together first. Like you have to show up differently first before I put you into a pot with other people. If everybody's popping popcorn and looking and doing whatever they were doing before, and you're not in a position where you're kind of managing yourself differently, bringing you back together with your team looks and feels less impactful, right? It can happen, and I'm going to be doing some of that here. I'm going to be offering that to some teams right now. Like, you may not have finished the work for yourselves, but let's do this while we do the team thing. And I'm gonna see how that's gonna work. So I think a lot of people want to training more than transformation. So it's like in the doing, that's when you transform. Training is information, but a true transformation, it's 20% of the new information. It's 80% of what we're calling mental fitness. It's the doing things differently. It's creating new, mental pathways, like new neural pathways, right? All of that. So you get to show up differently, create a different outcome, and it's a beautiful thing. Okay. Just making sure. Just making sure. I thought my producer had said something to me, but it looks like he did not. So onward, and we shall continue. I love it. Okay. So again, the entire month we're going to be talking about mental health awareness month, but we're going to be doing it in a way that allows us to really take real life success stories from the Living Powerfully experience, and we're going to create a space for you to bring your voice, right? We want you to be inspired to take your next step toward both healing, growth, joy, and living powerfully, right? Like it's the things that we get to say, this is how I used to be, I see it. I'm going to pause that. We're going to be really intentional about what that looks like, and then moving to the next level. So join the movement. Like I said, if you're around other people that are saying, I want to do this differently, I get that this means, something different for me, then it's not, you get to create a space where your mind is working for you, not against you. And this is for everyone, right? It's for young people. It's for seniors. It's for parents. It's for professionals. It's for leaders and executives and creatives and caregivers and educators and change makers and healers, and right, we're all leaders. And so, one of the things I was talking about previously is if you're tired of burnout and you're ready for a mind shift, if you're tired of just knowing that you could do more, be better, that you want to be happier, that you want to be, more at peace, that you want to minimize those things that have not served you, this is how you do it. Not just talking about it. This is about being about it. That's a Southern girl. Don't talk about it, be about it. That's kind of a Southern girl, Southern girl language. But it's also about like, how do we show up differently? Okay, so stay with me. So again, welcome. This is really about blending both conversation with the transformational work that we've been doing and talking about for quite a while through the Living Powerfully experience with positive intelligence, right? We're going to do three things. So if we're saying May is a mental health awareness month, then I want to talk about the difference between mental health and mental fitness. Okay. So mental health is the state of our emotional, physiological, psychological, and social well-being. Mental health. It's the state of our emotional, our psychological, and our social well-being. I bring in the physical because, again, mental health can impact us physically, but mental health is typically thinking about like our emotional, like psychologically, where are we at socially, like how are we feeling? So health, the mental health side it's about well-being, and it's social well-being because it's often not you in a vacuum. It's you connecting with other people, which is why this whole positive intelligence process is so, and again, it's not, I've kind of taken positive intelligence and I've incorporated with a bunch of other things that I've done. And so that's why I call it the Living Powerfully experience with positive intelligence. And I call it level 1 of Living Powerfully because it does require some additional ways of thinking, right? So if you believe that some decisions have been made in the past and you want to think differently, sometimes that's a start too, like being able to take limiting beliefs, like we talked about beliefs leading to your thoughts, your thoughts that lead to your emotions that lead to your actions or inactions. And it's those actions or inactions that lead to the results in your life, right? So the outcomes. So if you think about it, beliefs are the foundation. That's like when you're willing to go deep and dig up the roots. And so honestly, without figuring it out through some long drawn out process, we offer you a 5-minute assessment where you get to identify your saboteurs. And when you see them, you're like, oh yeah, that's me. If you do the assessment honestly, right, and you can do it yourself. You can do it with other people. You can say, hey, maybe sometimes we're not even aware of who we are and how we are. You can also do it with someone else. You can maybe do it once just on your own, like with your own perception of yourself, and then do it once with someone who's really, really close to you and let them answer it for you and with you and see what it looks like. See if it's different. That's reasonable too. Just say it. I've done it with some people and I'm like, if you're not honest, if you're not honest with yourself, God, knows that you probably have some people around you. I know I do. The people that are around me are not people that are yes people. You're not helping me if you're letting me show up raggedy, right? That's not how this is. So hopefully we all have people around us. So you go to positiveintelligence.com, you go down halfway down the page, you'll see something that talks about discover your saboteurs is what it says. And there's a 5-minute assessment there. You can also reach out to me. It's Traci at itsallbiggerthanme.com. So if you want to focus on truly mental health awareness and you want to really show up differently, trust me on this. This is what transformation looks like. Okay. And again, I don't typically tell people to do it with other people, but I've now done this enough to say sometimes you might see something differently. You might see something differently when you bring other people in, because it asks questions about how other people might perceive you. And if you're just used to kind of walking your path and not, because a lot of people, again, looking at your own beliefs, and stay with me on this part. Mental health awareness is about, again, I mentioned this concept of the state of emotional, psychological, and your social well-being. Social well-being implies how you show up with other people, but how you impact other people and how do other people impact you? Are you with me? So that's huge. If you think about it, people really can't, I'll use the term piss you off, right? They really can't. You can allow them to. They can do something that you didn't decide to respond to in a way that is less than optimal for you because now you're stressed out and you're distracted from maybe where you were going. But if you see someone for who they are, it's like, maybe you can have more empathy for that person. I'm not saying you ignore them. I'm not saying that at all. That the superpowers allow you to go deeper, to ask questions. Oftentimes there's confusion, right? Questions are like, some people don't like to have questions asked. Even sometimes I don't like to have questions asked, and I realize I'm like, okay, whoops. Like, oh, okay. That means I thought I was being clear. Someone I was communicating with didn't agree. And I'm like, oh, that is so good. Tell me more. Like, I love that. Like if someone says, hey, I really am not clear. And then I'm like, oh, tell me more. But sometimes I guess we have to pause and think about how, like, social norms. So again, going back to mental health is the state of our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So we're thinking about how you interact with others and how others impact you and how you're, I'm going to use a language that someone said to me about 10 years ago, how people experience you, right? Some of us are like high energy, what was the Brina Jackson Gandy is my coach, and she often says, she calls them boss chicks, right? Like boss chicks show up, with sometimes a level of energy at work that you can't bring home to your man because he's looking at you like, I don't work for you, right? So I remember her saying, like, take that coat off. That ain't the one you want to wear when you walk in the house. Right? It's a different energy. It's how people experience you. You don't want your man to experience you like a boss chick. And then he's looking like, excuse me, not saying he's your boss. I'm saying there has to be a level of partnership and connectivity. And I think oftentimes we don't necessarily understand how people experience us. Okay. So there's two sides to this whole mental health. The state of is one thing, like being able to understand the state of emotional, psychological, and social well-being, how you interact with others, how you experience others, but how they experience you. And I'm equally as excited about helping you to see how other people might experience you. I got 4 minutes before I have to go to break, so stay with me. Okay, so if mental health is the state of our emotional, psychological, and social well-being, then mental fitness is our ability to respond to life's challenges with a clear mind and a positive mindset. Not like positive, yay, everything is going to work out, but positive as in this too will work out for my good. That's divine. And scientifically, if you believe that whatever situation is occurring can be turned into a gift and an opportunity, that's the language that they use for positive intelligence, which is why I love it, because I grew up with that. Like I always believe the biblical side, right? And then I read several books in elementary school. Like I was a bit of a nerd, I do have to admit. I was always fascinated by the mind. So I read like 1,000 books at least. I stopped counting at 1,000 because I thought that was fascinating for some reason. But not, what do you call them? Not fiction books, but like nonfiction books about life and about minds and about the, you know, like showing up, spiritual too, I have to admit. What I find to be fascinating is how it's all connected, how the spiritual side connects with the scientific side. So when we talk about what you believe, if you believe that a situation or circumstance, whatever has happened, if you believe that this is the worst thing that could happen to you, guess what? You're only going to see that. Your reticular activator, part of your brain, is going to filter out the stuff that could be showing you something different. That's why other people's perspective matters. So you got to have some people around you that are willing to tell you the truth. And that you've created an open dialogue where they can speak the truth to you. Because I know some people say that they have, but when I try to speak to them, they're kind of like, well, I just need to get to my agenda. Okay, then you're not going to get the benefit of other people being able to interact with you. So, okay, whatever you want. You know, like sometimes that's okay, but most times it's like the interaction is about the connectivity. So again, being in a position where you're saying, what is my ability to respond to life's challenges with a clear mind and a positive, proactive, I believe this is going to work out for me, period. I believe I can convert this situation to a gift and an opportunity, whatever it is. Like, I believe that. So that, guess what? All I'm thinking about is, how am I going to make this work for me? And you and everybody around me. Like, I'm not saying me selfishly. I'm saying, how can this be positive for me and the world around me, right? Like, meaning nothing negative happened to me that I can't in some way, we can't collectively make positive. It is what it is, right? When things don't work out, it's like, ooh, that did not work out the way I hoped. What can I do to make it better, right? I got 3 groups that I'm focusing on. What can I do to make that better? It didn't end the way I thought it should have, and I would have liked it to be. So I'm going to go backwards. Like I need for this to be better for you and for me. So if there are people in your life where you're like, that relationship maybe didn't end the way I wanted to, then you get to go back and say, hey, you know what? Especially after you've done your saboteur assessment, after you've seen yourself a little clearer, after you've learned a little bit about the power of the sage perspective, which is those 5 superpowers we talk about, empathy, right? After that, that's when you want to kind of go backwards and be in a position to have new conversations. So mental fitness is not just when things go wrong. It's basically when you're brushing your teeth, it's being proactive, it's being protective, right? It builds resilience. So it's about, how do you show up differently? How do you show up in a way that ensures that you and others around you are going to thrive? Now, I think I'm being informed that it's time for a break. Okay, y'all. So this is Dr. Traci Harrell. Again, the entire month of May, we are going to be talking about mental fitness, mental health awareness, but really, what can you do to show up in your most powerful self? So stay with us. We will be right back with more.
Speak Up Seattle. We are Rainier Avenue Radio World, the station that cares.
Don't forget.
Sing with us as we fill the historic Columbia City Theater with our voices. Join Crowdsource Choir on May 23rd for a soulful, participatory night of singing. Come raise the collective vibration with us at the Columbia City Theater. Tickets at crowdsourcechoir.com.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, it's Traffic Jam with Kareem.
Thursday at 4 p.m.
Hey, Traffic Jam. Rainier Avenue Radio. Download the app so you don't miss out. What's poppin', crack with Shiny? It's your boy, Cream the Dream, on another beautiful week on here on Traffic Jam in Seattle. I hope you guys doing what you're supposed to do, being supposed to be. I got a good show for y'all. A lot to talk about. You know, Kareem the Dream, keep up with everything.
Get your entertainment news with Kareem on the Traffic Jam Thursday at 4 p.m.
Are you in need of new or gently used clothing? Hope's Community Closet is here to help. We offer a wide range of clothing for men, women, youth, children, and infants. Join us on the fourth Saturday of each month from 12:30 to 4 at the Silent Task Force. We're giving clothing with care, community with heart. Lovely Ladies Lemonade for sale, and shop to the sound of old school soul. Any questions? Contact Alicia Kennedy, Executive Director of Women United at 206-316-7601. 206-316-7601. Come and find the perfect outfit for you and your family. We look forward to seeing you there.
My name is BK, International Talent Scout. I'm bringing a brand new show to you called BK Presents. 30 minutes, non-stop, your favorite in gospel music studio session. Going deep into interviews with your favorite artists, producers, and their engineers. You and your concert previews and concert reviews. Get it all on bkpresents.com.
The Washington State Nonprofit Conference is the largest gathering of nonprofit professionals in the state. Visit nonprofitwa.org to learn more about this powerful gathering of leaders, employees, board members, and nonprofit supporters. You can join May 13th and May 14th in person, or May 16th in Spokane, or May 20th in Tacoma. With 30 workshops, 4 keynote sessions, and 4 distinct learning tracks, the Washington State Nonprofit Conference is an incredible opportunity to connect with experts and discover resources and strategies to drive positive change in your organization. Ready for action? Register today at nonprofitwa.org.
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at rainieravenue.world.
Hey, y'all. This is Dr. Traci Harrell. And as I mentioned, I could not be more excited. This is May, and in May, we're going to be talking about mental health awareness. Yes, and it's really probably one of my favorite topics. We're gonna do a couple of things. So I'm gonna start with this idea of, we already talked about mental health versus mental fitness, right? So mental health is the state of our emotional, psychological, and social well-being, and mental fitness is your ability to respond in a clear way to life's challenges, clear, positive, proactive, and powerful way, right? To life challenges. That's what true living powerfully is. Being able to have these things show up, and you're being proactive, you're being both protected. It's about building that inner strength so that you bounce back faster, you think clearer, you love deeper, you live, more powerfully, right? It's all the things. I know it sounds almost too good to be true, but it's true. Like there's so many, there's a million people who've done this. Oftentimes they're leaders and executives in large organizations, which is why I thought, you know what, I got to bring this to our people. I got to bring it to everyone and anyone who will listen. I want to make sure that they understand. And again, it does take you to do some work yourself, right? But I want the information, as much of it as possible, to be available. So if you go to the gym to stay physically fit, what do you do for your mind? Right? If you think about your mind as a muscle and you want to train your mind to be stronger, to respond better, right? How do you currently respond to stress would be a question I would ask yourself, right? What mental habits are helping you, and which habits are actually holding you back, right? You gotta really ask yourself these questions. Like, where am I at? Honestly, ask yourself the question, and what am I willing to do about it? Like, we could talk about, I want to do it, but then it's like, are you really showing up? Are you willing to do something every day toward creating true mental fitness? That is ideal. So we talked about, this idea of mental health versus mental fitness. Mental health is the state of being, right? And I talked about the social well-being. So again, how you show up with others and how others impact you, right? This is your opportunity to say, what I'm going to do differently is proven to work. Like, what do I have to lose? So when you think about patterns of thought, as a transformational coach, I've done a number of different certifications and things that allow us to really focus on transformation of beliefs. But this is starting with awareness, a level of awareness that you probably haven't had in the past. And I'm also like DISC certified. We've probably all done Myers-Briggs. It's not that. This is more about like, how do you show up in life? Like, what are the things that might be slowing you down, and what are the opportunities for you to, again, create the life of your dreams? So when we talk about this next phase, we talked about what is the difference between mental health and mental fitness. Now we're going to talk about just a brief intro to what positive intelligence is, right? And again, the Living Powerfully experience is 7 levels of living powerfully, and positive intelligence is level 1. And it's so powerful. It's so foundational. I really like to invest some serious time in making sure people get it. So when we talk about positive intelligence, there's 3 things we want to do is to really identify our saboteurs. Right, we all have them. Right, the judge is the master saboteur. It's criticizing you often. It criticizes others. It also criticizes your circumstances. Right. So when situations happen, and our brains are designed to be the judge, to judge us. Right, to provide, again, in a good way. we just often get the negative side of it as well. Like if you were ever bit by a dog or bit by a snake, and you heard, a rattle before you got bit. The next time you hear a rattle, your brain, you got to see the snake. Your brain is automatically judged that there's some danger. And that's kind of how the human body was meant to work. So the judge is not a problem. Knowing that it exists is important, right? If you were bit by a dog when you're younger, you might have some energy around barking dogs. Like you might be on high alert. I get it. Then you just have to have some positive experiences if you want to move past that. I'm not saying you need to ever learn to love the sound of a rattlesnake. That should always be a problem for you, right? But there are other things in life that you had to address as a child. You had to deal with in a certain way, and you get to decide, do I want to, respond differently? So again, think about the judge. We're going to talk about a few of the top, say 5 saboteurs. The judge is the master saboteur. When you do the saboteur assessment, the judge isn't even on the list because it's number 1 for everyone. It's the master saboteur. The judges, it connects with these other, we call them the supportive saboteurs. The accomplice, they're called accomplice. The accomplices, the judge is number 1, and these other 9 saboteurs that you will discover in the saboteur assessment, they're accomplices, right? So they show up, and then you're like, okay, this is unique to me. Like my combination of everyone's combination and measure, and like how much they show up is different. So the controller believes that. So I'm going to talk about 5 saboteurs. The judge is number 1. I'm going to talk about the controller. I'm going to talk about the avoider, the victim, and the hyperachiever. I'll talk about 5 today, and we'll talk about some others as well, other shows. So I just want to get through this as a quick overview. So you think about, for positive intelligence and mental health, knowing that the judge is a master saboteur, that it's often criticizing you and others in circumstances, you just got to see it and know when it's there and be like, that's my judge. That's my judge. So like the first step is to awareness, to recognize it, to see it and be like, that's my judge. Shut it down. You don't have to go through a whole major, dissertation to be like, okay, why? When you see it, shut it down. The same for all of these. When the controller shows up and it's your controller, right? The controller believes everything depends on them. I'm a bit of a controller, right? They try to control everyone and everything. I've been more of a controller in the past. I feel like I see it a lot now, and I'm like, ooh, set me free. Like, by all means, set me free. I don't need to, like, I want that to not be my top saboteur. So the avoider avoids difficult tasks or conversations to stay comfortable, right? The victim feeds off feelings of hurt or neglect. And then the hyperachiever ties their self-worth to success and performance. So oftentimes they're doing the next thing. They're checking the box and they're doing the next thing. They're checking the box. They're not even really giving themselves a chance to pause and celebrate. And what that does to your team is they don't feel very probably appreciated because you ain't appreciating yourself. So I don't know, right? So there's the impact of all of these saboteurs is not just how does it increase your anxiety, it's like how do other people experience you? Like you're a problem because you're such a controller. You become a problem for them. You're the stress creator for them because you're a hyperachiever and you're going on to the next thing without even pausing to celebrate, without going deep enough to really make this thing the best thing ever before you're now focusing on the next 10 things. Right? It's like, how do you really create the life of your dreams? It's really about seeing yourself, and it's this level of awareness. So if awareness is the gateway to freedom, then you can't change something that you don't notice. So again, the big trick of this, and I know it sounds way, way, way more simple than you could possibly imagine, is pause and just say, I see you. Oh, judge. Controller, I see you. Right? You can laugh. I like to laugh at mine now. When I see him, I'm like, oh my God, is that how I used to be? Because I used to just let it happen. Let the controller show up and then there's a whole series of things that happen. No, as soon as you see it, you say the thought. As soon as the thought comes into your head, you don't even have to let the actions take place anymore. That's mental health and mental wellness, right? You can read about it. Again, when you get your reviews, you can send them to me. Again, Traci at itsallbiggerthanme.com, Traci with an I. And I'll give you a free session to really talk through it and to really coach you on it. And it's my opportunity. Like I said, I show up here for community. I'm not getting paid for this. And this is valuable content. Trust me on that. So being in a position to be able to say, number one is to see these saboteurs. Awareness is number one, is king, and then see them, call them out and be like, yeah, I called them out. Bam, bam, bam. Like you got to change the neural pathways in order for it to truly change who you are. Okay. So whichever chapter, when you think about a recent moment that was stressful, that caused you anxiety, where you didn't show up at your best, you can just kind of ask yourself, which of these saboteurs might have been in charge at that moment? Like which of these automatic pilot situations, voices. You guys have seen the movie Inside Out, the Disney movie Inside Out. Like it's kind of like that same concept of like, how do we show up when these voices are speaking to us? Like, which one do you listen to the most? Which one are you putting in the driver's seat? And you got to see him and be like, nope, not today. Not you, judge. Not you, controller. Not you, victim. Hyperachiever. Like, there's a pleaser. There's a hyper rational. Like whatever they are. Like you'll see yourself, if you're being honest, you'll see and you'll read these things. You'll be like, okay, I see that. Yeah, that's probably me. Yeah, that's kind of me. And then when you see them, you shut them down. That's it. You see them, you see, and you celebrate that you shut them down and move on to something else. Tap into your superpowers, right? So tap into, again, the 3 core muscles. And again, hopefully I'm wrapping this in a way that makes it make really good sense to everyone. So if you're saying the 3 core mental muscles, so we talked about the difference between mental health and mental fitness. Mental health is a state of being, right? Mental fitness is the state, your ability, right, to show up differently, to show up positively, to show up powerfully, to show up proactively, right? When negative situations show up. So that's the difference between mental health and mental fitness. It's an activation versus a situation, right? Mental health is like a state of being. I think we talked about that. So I just want to make sure we're clear. So this is the activation. So these are the 3 levels of activation within the Living Powerfully experience with positive intelligence, right? Again, foundation 1. This is Living Powerfully level 1. So you do 3 things. You shut down and you intercept those saboteurs, those automatic things that used to happen. And you know when they're happening, by the way. Your heart rate raises a little bit. Like things happen. You just have to be willing to pause and say, oh, I'm not going to do that today. So I'm going to recognize, I'm going to interrupt that inner critic. I'm going to interrupt that controller. I'm going to interrupt the pleaser. I'm going to interrupt whatever's happening that I know is not positive for me. I'm going to pause. I'm going to interrupt it. And that's what these PQ reps are, the pauses. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. You can squeeze, breathe, and release, right? You can squeeze your hands as tight as you can, release, or you can just touch. This is a PQ rep as well. So this is like the how do you pause, like how do you stop? Like just stop. When you see the thing, just stop, right? Look outside. I'm actually in this beautiful place here, beautiful window, some hummingbirds are just flying outside the window. That's why I keep looking, because like, wow, that's so exciting. But being in a position where you can just look out and enjoy nature. It's, you can just pause and breathe and be like, okay, I'm going to pay very close attention to something physical. Typically, you want to breathe something. You can drink water, right? You can drink something cold and delicious. You can touch your hands slightly, gently, so you feel the ridges on your fingers, or squeeze something in your hand. People love this one. When I'm doing groups, they like, okay, I like that one. Squeeze your phone as tight as you can, or if you're driving, squeeze the wheel. Like just intercept the saboteur. If you're sitting in a meeting, squeeze your toes in your chair. Like my feet are on the ground right now. My butt's in this chair. I'm super comfortable. I can just feel the seat in my, that I'm sitting in, right? I can feel my feet. I have on no shoes. So my toes are out and I can squeeze my toes against the ground. I can tap them against the ground. I can do whatever I need to do. If you want to do it in a way that no one recognizes it, but if you want to do it in a way that everybody recognizes it, be like, okay, I need a moment. People will respect and value you because you're going to come out of that moment in a way that's going to be more powerful, right? So intercept the saboteur. That's the number one mental muscle. So if you're trying to build mental fitness, you got to be able to say, I see my saboteurs. I recognize that is me, and it is not going to lead to the outcome that I would like. I see it. I recognize it. Higher level of awareness, and I'm going to interrupt the saboteur. So we call it intercept the saboteur. Then you want to practice this self-command muscle, right? We talked about this idea of shifting your thoughts in the moment. A lot of people say, well, I'm going to be me, and then I'm going to come back later. That's not mental fitness. Just so we're clear, it is in the moment, the power, living powerfully. It's not about sending people on these wild, crazy journeys because you've decided, oh, I get to be crazy today. I get to be my normal controller self, or I get to be whatever I've been being. No, it's in the moment. And if you say you want to be your best, you have to practice in the moment, which is why doing it before shenanigans takes off, doing it while you're brushing your teeth, breathing and being intentional, being intentional. That's why you do it when you don't have a situation happening, so that when the situation shows up where you need to do it in the moment, that's when it matters. If you've caused someone else stress or caused yourself stress and you weren't able to pause in the moment, what's the point of that? Right? Mental health. So let me just say, if you get nothing out of today, it is in the moment where it matters. Your ability, I get all loud and excited. Sorry, but it's your ability to shift your thoughts. It's your ability to do things differently. And I'm talking generically, but trust me, it matters in every way. So shift the power of self-command. That's a muscle too, right? Your ability to shift your thoughts, to tap into a new belief, to shut down these saboteurs so you can think differently and do something differently. Let me just do another air quote. In the moment is when it matters. It doesn't matter as much later. You can do it later, right? It's just not as impactful, right? It's not about you living powerfully because now you've allowed the anxiety to take over. Take on for you, take on for people around you. It's like, how do you stop it in the moment? Someone sent me a text the other day and they were like, hey, you know what? You said something to me in the moment. That's the only time it matters. Like you can go, like I said, you can't go backwards. Absolutely. But it's in the moment when you can have the greatest impact with people. When you're like, I have an idea. This might be helpful for you. You can't actually self-manage, self-command for another person. Right? Like that has to come from within you, which is why we talk about you doing the practice of the PQ and shifting your thoughts and being in the moment and all of that. That happens when you're not being hijacked, right? When your saboteurs aren't whispering in your ear, both ears, and you're like, oh Lordy, right? I'm gonna do the thing. And then you just, again, our brains are like wired to do what we've been doing unless we activate in a way that says our self-command muscle allows us to pause and shift your thoughts in the moment. That is so powerful. And then the sage muscle says we get to access our inner wisdom, our creativity, our empathy, our compassion, our resilience, right? You get to ask questions differently, right? You get to, there's a whole series of things. So there's really just 3 muscles. I just want to clarify. There's only 3 mental fitness muscles. You stop, intercept the saboteurs. You practice self-command, which means you shift your thoughts, whatever was happening, whatever you were going to do, you're able to say, pause. Pause is the PQ, the breathing, the touching, whatever. So it's a self-command. It's a tool called a PQ up. You can only take 10 seconds of mindfulness. It's a moment that strengthens your brain like a mental push-up, right? And we can talk more about that later because it looks like I'm about to run out of time. So I want to get through this whole thing. So let's do a PQ rep. We've done this before, and we're going to take literally 10 seconds. I'm going to have you breathe. Close your eyes if you're not driving. Close your eyes if you can. You're just going to inhale and exhale. Something's happening. This is how you pause. This is how you intercept the saboteurs. This is how you get to practice self-command. As you close your eyes, like I said, you can squeeze your toes against the ground. You can squeeze your phone tight and release. You can just squeeze your hands tight. You can do it very ever so lightly. So if you rub your fingertips slowly together and focus only on the sensation of your 2 fingers, you should be able to feel the ridges, right? Nothing else matters in this moment. Notice the tiny ridges. You still want to keep breathing, because the breathing actually is, something that the SWAT team uses and the military experts use when they're going into battle, right? It's the breathing. 3, 4 slow, deep breaths. It's like, and you focus on something mental, right? That's a PQ rep. So if you do this 5 times a day, just 2 minutes at a time, 10 seconds, right? That's all it takes to literally rewire your brain. And science tells us that this is how you create new neural pathways. It's the repetition, it's the intention, and it's the consistency that allows it to happen. So again, I try to focus on, it's like, where in your life could you stay at a 10-second pause that would change everything? So you would show up differently. It's each change that changes who you are. Like, that's how you show up differently. So stay with me. So if mental health is about a state of being and mental fitness is about how you show up differently, then we're going to talk a little bit about the superpowers. And we'll go into this a lot deeper next week. But I just want to make sure you're understanding. We've talked about this before, but the core powers that help you to navigate to your highest self, right? To show up as your most powerful self is the power of empathy. Like, you get to empathize with yourself and with others, empathize with the situation sometimes too, right? But the power of empathy, right? Then we talked about explore, right? With curiosity instead of judgment. So when you want to ask questions, if someone has said something to you and you really are confused and you want to snap back, or you want to control the situation, or you want to do something, right? Something negative is going to come out of it because of your response. PQ, rep, breathe, and then come out of it with empathy. Like, believe the best of the person and then ask a question with curiosity instead of with judgment, right? Innovate, right? You also can pause. You can create new ideas, right? Just new insights. Do this innovation. What might, if I believe that this situation could be turned into a gift, what might the gift be? Could be this, could be that. If you don't know, ask somebody, right? And then navigate, making decisions from your core values. Navigate, ask yourself, what would, my older self want me to do? What would my guardian angels want me to do? Navigate, right? Based on your values and how you want to show up. If you know you're not going to show up the way if this action that you were about to take is not going to allow you to look the way you want to look, feel the way you want to feel, then don't do it. Don't do it. These are the powers. These are the things you get to tap into before you take the action. Activate is the last step. So it's 5 things you get to do. You get to empathize, explore, innovate, navigate before you activate. So that's the pausing. As you're pausing and practicing that self-command muscle, you've already intercepted the saboteurs. You're pausing, right? You're focusing on a new way to be. So you get to empathize with yourself and others. You get to actually explore, ask questions without judgment, innovate. How could this be a blessing? How could this be something good for us, right? And then you want to make decisions with, make decisions that are going to align with the outcomes that you desire. And then you activate. Then you can take bold action with calm clarity, and you can be very clear that this is exactly what you wanted to happen. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, you want to be in a position where I have some babies over here, they're being loud. And again, lives change when you're really able to, and I can give you examples of this, but I have people who break through their lifelong of perfectionism, their self-doubt. I've had people say, girl, I've been dealing with this for 20 years. I know, right? Right. We can heal broken relationships. Community leaders can use tools to reframe from burnout and turn it into both growth and opportunity. So you could pause and ask yourself, why is this happening to me whenever something is going to happen? It's happening. Why? Like, what is the gift or the opportunity in this? So you want to ask yourself the question and then activate, right? You want to use these tools to truly show up differently. And I think I have, 3 minutes left? Help me out. My producer likes to keep me on track. So again, these are routines. So you want to create a morning mindset practice. 2 minutes of PQ reps and gratitude. Somewhere in the midday, you want to check in, you want to pause, and you want to breathe. You want to make sure you're looking throughout the day and intercepting those saboteurs. In the evening, during the evening time, you could say, what was my sage moment today? Like, what gift did I receive? Like, what did I do differently? And then you want to celebrate, right? And then in community, right, creating a space where you can literally celebrate with others, people who get it, that you can celebrate with. So transformation doesn't happen through information. It literally happens through application and repetition. Like, that's what we know. And so you can just know better. You can't just know better. You actually have to do better. You have to train your mind differently. So you are not your saboteurs, the things that have controlled you in the past, they have no power over you. You actually get to choose your thoughts, right? You can build mental fitness. That means you can have more peace and more power and all the things, right? So Mental Health Awareness Month is just a reminder, right? Not of your problems, not that you're broken, but your brilliance. Mental Health Awareness Month says, my God, how can I tap into all of the best of me? All these gifts that God put inside of me, right? How can I tap into that? So join us right here on the Living Powerfully Experience. You can DM me online. I'm Dr. Traci Harrell. You can message me. You can show up right here. We're creating a movement, right? This is about a community. It's about a transformation, and you're not alone. You're not broken. It's all bigger than me, right? It's all bigger than you. This is all bigger than all of us, right? So until we meet again, what I'd like to ask each of you to do is to show up with a level of peace. I know it's talking fast, but show up with a level of peace so that you know that the desires of your heart are yours for the taking. Meaning anything that you desire is yours for the taking. So my producer has not given me a shutdown, so I'm gonna say some more. Okay, so just a little bit more. So I know we have Lidline Sports coming up, but before Lidline Sports, I think I have 2 more minutes, I think. Apparently not. Okay, so Lidline Sports is coming up. It is the fastest hour in sports. And it's Lidline Sports with Pep and O. And apparently someone else named Michael Carter. Exciting. So they're going to be on next. And again, join us next week for the entire month. We're going to be talking about May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's about Mental Fitness Awareness Month. This is about how do you show up, living your best life, being your best self. Again, it's already May, y'all, in 2025. So we want to make sure this is still your best, your most productive, your most amazing year yet. So join us next week. Join us next week. We're going to continue to talk about May being Mental Awareness Month and how you can live your best life. Okay. That's it. Thank you all.